Okay, I'd like to start the meeting at 6:37 p.m. Start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next item up on the agenda is the adoption of minutes. Can I get a motion to adopt the April 3rd, 2025 minutes?
I'll move it. I'll second it.
Discussion. Tina, I think you got the revisions. I know it was robust with the public hearing. Thank you for getting through that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll abstain. I wasn't here for that meeting.
Okay. Motion carried. Next item up on the agenda, citizens' comments, and just so you know, we're adding one motion at the end. Two things, we're going to put the amount not to exceed for the advertising of the special election at $15,000, and we will have a motion M, which will be to request a speed study in West Phoenix. It's Bridge Street, West Bridge Street, and Oswego Street, the entire length. So is there anyone wishing to comment on the agenda or any other town topics?
Is it worth adding First and Second Street into that speed study? Just
Might as well.
and Pendergast between Oswego and Westbridge.
Okay.
Do the whole neighborhood.
Sure.
Between
Westbridge Street and Lamson.
and
What's that?
Is it a county road?
We can request a speed study on any road. Yeah.
and should I just say area speed study then?
Yeah, do an area speed study for the West Phoenix.
Oh, I didn't know yet. I thought you had 8 roads.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, you can do an area speed study for the West Phoenix neighborhood. They may come back and ask what streets you want to include.
I'll say area speed study and I'll put these
Okay.
in too, so we'll
Yeah.
have it all.
And we'll just put the names of the streets in.
Yep.
Okay. Is there anyone that would like to comment tonight?
Fred Birch, Plainville Road. I'd like to address some of the topics that were discussed at our previous meeting, not the one on the 3rd, but the one where there was only 2 board members. First question, did you have your mini recorder going during that meeting that we had 2 Thursdays ago?
No.
Okay, because I noticed that there wasn't a work session or anything.
No, because it was an
Haphazard, okay,
Yep.
yeah.
You had yours on.
Yep. Say I, Fred Birch, came up to the podium and said, hey, a little thought. If, when we go ahead with the highway appointed or elected, and let's just say the people come out and they vote for that they want it appointed, and then it's the board's duty to write out the town law about the specifics of that position, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
We'd have to create a job description.
Now say I, Fred Birch, suggested, hey, I like these guys that are in the highway department. They've been working here for a long time. They do a really good job. I think they ought to have first bite at the apple in the event that something like that comes up in the future, somebody moves, health, for whatever reason, we need to appoint somebody else. If I suggested to this board that, can you write up into the law that, can we first take a look at the guys that work in the highway department before we look at other people in the town or other people outside the town? What would you say to that if I asked?
Well, normally within our town, we do have a residency preference for positions in that case.
I'm saying writing and let a current highway worker have the first crack at it before we go and interview somebody else in the town or somebody
Well, I
else.
think everybody would have a crack at it that wants to apply.
Right,
I mean, I think one of the things with appointed is you can look outside of the town. And that's
Right,
not necessarily what the
So-
intent is, it's just allowing the option if it was appointed.
So this board, probably it would be safe to say that you wouldn't word.
Fred, I'll just speak, and I don't want to speak for everyone. I'm not going to cross that bridge until it comes. I'm not thinking that far ahead, to be honest.
Right, but say there was somebody
I
outside.
don't do hypotheticals.
Say there was somebody outside of the town,
You get
well, then I'd be talking to the rest of the board then. Say there was somebody outside of the town that was interested in it, and they saw the writing that, hey, somebody that currently works there now gets first crack at it, and if they like them, then, basically I might not even get an opportunity at it. Would
Yeah, I
that?
mean, in that case, I think you just made the point of why you wouldn't necessarily.
Right, so potentially that might set the town up for a lawsuit being biased regarding the employment, right? Where you're giving first crack to somebody who currently works there.
No.
So you could write that up that way.
My concern with writing it up the way of when you use terms like first crack at it is that what you're forcing, what you would then be putting the board in the position of is instead of evaluating all potential candidates who've submitted an application and picking the one that best suits the needs of the town, you would force the board to first look at guys from the highway department, and if they don't feel that those, and I'm not saying they would, I'm just saying potentially if they don't, you're forcing the board to tell what? To tell the highway guys first whether they want them or not? I think that it would be, if you give a preference for, if you say that it will be a factor for consideration, the residence and location of an appointed highway superintendent, you would still, in my opinion, best practices would be to evaluate all applications at the same time.
Okay, that's fine.
So that everyone can be compared, all potential applicants can be reviewed, analyzed, and compared against each other.
And I agree with you, that's exactly what I was looking for, is clarification on that, because some things were said at the previous meeting, suggestions about writing it up so that the town workers would have some type of preference or be considered first, and I just wanted that to be addressed. I appreciate that and accept that. The next thing, there was a conversation at that meeting regarding previous elections for highway superintendent. And somebody made mention that they thought that our previous highway superintendent, Ken Sweetak, had participated in a primary in order to obtain the endorsement from the Republican Party. And I did some research on that, and I want to tell you what I found out, is there was no primary. Mr. Parrish was originally given the endorsement by the Lysander Republican Committee, and then Bob and Bob pulled the rug out from underneath them for whatever reason. And then Mr. Parrish gave himself the conservative nod. So he ran in a general election against Ken Sweetak, who was handed the Republican endorsement. He never primaried for anybody. And that's how that happened.
There was no declination of the Republican
As far as I
candidate?
know, he didn't even go in for an interview. Okay, Mr. Hull, Jerry Hull, called powers that be in the Lysander Republican Committee and referred Ken. And Ken didn't even go to a meeting or an interview or anything like that. He was just basically handed to him. So I wanted to clarify that that's exactly how that. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure that Mr. Parrish went as far as he said he was going to try to sue the Lysander Republican Committee for pulling that endorsement. I don't know whatever happened to it, but I know those things were said. That's that. And then the last thing, at a couple of the meetings in the last 2 months or so, I've made mention of, if you're going to try to make the highway appointed, why not do that with our other elected officials as far as like the clerk as well? And I think I mentioned it at 3 or 4 different meetings. But then at the last meeting, Mr. Garassi tried to set me on the straight and narrow that, hey, Fred, you might as well stop bringing that up because New York State has a law that prevents towns from making the clerk an appointment and it has to be elected. So I wanted to ask Jeff or our town clerk, who spent quite a amount of time of their life in the town of Salina. Is that correct? You grew up there?
Nope.
So you've never lived in Salina?
I'm not gonna go back.
Okay, so
What is the point?
the point is, I wanted to ask, maybe the town clerk, maybe she would know. Out of all the years you worked there or you lived there, can you ever recollect seeing a sign in Salina that said vote for da-da-da for Salina town clerk?
I'm sorry, you're addressing me directly?
You're not required.
Okay, so
the answer?
so the answer to that question, to let you know, is no. And there's a reason for that. Because since 1962, the Salina town clerk has been appointed. So I want to ask you, does anybody know Paula Primerano, Rod Lowe, Jeannie Ventry, Chris Shepard, or Colleen Gunnup? Has anybody ever heard of those people? Colleen Gunnup is our Onondaga County legislator now, but she's still the records keeper for the town of Salina. That represents the current clerk and the previous 5 clerks that were all appointed in the town of Salina. They changed their charter in 1962, and how I found this out is the day after the meeting when Mr. Garasi gave me the false information that New York State has a law prevents towns from allowing clerks to be appointed. I called Onondaga County Board of Elections, and I spoke with Nicole, who's number 2 Republican there. And I mentioned to her what happened to me at the previous meeting. She says, well, that guy obviously doesn't know what he's talking about. We have an appointed clerk in the town of Salina. If you want to hold on a second, Fred, I'll look on my computer. And she found out that there are, in fact, 932 towns in New York State, and there are 68 appointed town clerks in New York State, which represents 7% of the districts. She also looked up highway for me and found out there's 90 in the 932, which would represent 9%. And so my point is, if I can't trust the information that's coming from this board, telling me, giving me false information, why would I or anybody else trust the information that's in the Garasi manifesto? Okay.
Your 5 minutes are up.
Regarding making the highway superintendent appointed.
Your 5 minutes are up.
So
Thank you for your time.
I appreciate your time. I would just ask the board, if you don't have the right answer,
Yeah, Fred,
I'd rather
you're
not
all
have
done.
any answer at all.
You can keep talking, but you're all done. Is there anyone else that has any comments? Seeing none, move on to town board comments. Oh, sorry, who was?
Oh, no.
Okay, yeah, we'll start with you, Councilor Rogers.
It's nice to see some new faces in the meeting today, and I just wanted to wish our town engineer a happy birthday.
Thanks, Jeff.
Happy birthday. Big one.
Birthday.
Yeah. And I wish many more.
Thank you, Jeff.
Councilor Drossy.
I just appreciate that spring seems to be here, and thank you for coming to this meeting tonight.
Councilor Moore.
Yeah, I would like to thank everyone for coming. It is nice to see different faces, although it's also nice to see some of the same faces as well. And thank you for watching on PAC, and we can stick right to the agenda.
Okay. Thank you. Supervisors' comments. I got a couple of them. West Phoenix residents, they are having the Village of Phoenix is having a water and sewer rate public hearing on May 6th. They are having that May 6th at Phoenix Village Hall. I believe it's at 6:30 p.m. It's Monday. Next thing up on mine is Onondaga County has a hazard mitigation plan. They need public comment and information. The public comment period is open until the end of May. The town clerk is putting the information up on the website. We got the information from the county yesterday. There will also we'll print some hard copies in case people don't have access to the internet to be able to get them here at Town Hall. if needed. The website has a QR code. It'll bring you right to the plan and comment form information if you would like to make a comment. What you're going to see in Onondaga County is every town municipality has to update their hazard mitigation plan every, is it 5 years, I believe?
7, I thought.
7,
Yeah.
okay. So each town has to go through, identify any new hazards and how they would mitigate them. Obviously, with the river, floodplains, we have flooding issues. They have added wildfires in New York State, given our drier weather in the springtime and our summers. So you can go there, fill it out. They're looking for any kind of public comments, information, additional help. You can see what Town of Lysander has for hazards and what our mitigation plans are. Next item is the assessor. Teresa will be doing month of May. She has a couple open times where she has visitation to, if you want to come in and talk about your assessments, or if you think your bill may or may not be right. I know that May 8th, next Thursday night, she will have her open night from 6 to 8 p.m. Town hall front door will be open. You can walk over. She usually has her door open. Go in and sit with her. If you call ahead, it'd probably be helpful that she could pull up your information and have an idea what you're coming in to talk about if you have any questions. And she will be at our May 15th meeting to give small presentation updates really about assessments in Lysander. I do know one thing that she said last year we went down to 80% assessed value, and we've gone down another 10% to 70%. So that will affect your rebates and exemptions. But I'm sure she'll have more to say about that on the 15th. Melvin Farms, we do have, I don't have it here because there is a plethora of information for Melvin Farms. Dina has a special notice on the website that shows all the information from Melvin Farm, maps, planning board reviews, our county planning board review, town planning, town zoning reviews, and recommendations. We will be reopening the public hearing, which has been almost 2 years now. By the time we reopen it, the developer has come up with another iteration, and we will see where the public sits and what the board has to read that over. With that, next item, Radisson Garage Sale will be next weekend. I know that's a big thing for people to go and walk. Maybe the weather will be good. I'm sort of hoping not, because I try to get in and out of there on those couple days. They do no parking rules on certain streets. Radisson goes through and puts signs up. I know it's been more of a Thursday, Friday, and somewhat Saturday thing. Just have a reminder, the sheriffs do patrol, they will ticket, and Thursday and Friday, the school buses still have to get through, so just be cognizant of them trying to, get through and drop kids off on those days and pick kids up. One other item, not sure if the highway superintendent will talk about it and department heads, but if you have a tree, you see any debris in the road, call 911. Calling town hall or the highway department will not always let somebody know. If you see a debris or hazard, feel free to call 911. They will reach out directly to the highway superintendent or whoever is on call, and we will take care of it. With the storm last week, we had a couple, random phone calls. We try to put that information up on the website, but if you see anything like hazards, call 911. They know who to notify.
We're out on a couple that 911 did notify us.
Right, and some people, the next morning I come into my phone and that is not answered or monitored 24 hours a day. So I think we caught most of them by the end, so.
Oh, yes.
And thank you for the work that the highway department put in on that. That is it on my end. We'll now go to department head reports.
Nothing at this time.
Okay.
Just trying to get everything caught up and take care of water problems that we've had, so I think we're accomplishing a lot, so.
Great.
I believe so.
Thank you, John. I know everybody's been thrilled with the work we're getting done out there. I've had people calling and contacting us saying they appreciate the work. And I'm sure are all the plows off the trucks?
No. No.
You never know, right?
No, I guess there's still 4 that are, or 5 that are harnessed, so they're not getting unharnessed for a while.
Okay. Another couple weeks, so hopefully we
Yeah.
can turn the corner. Town clerk, go to her first before you get here.
So where Henderson's Dairy was, there's a new barbecue place going in there. So they applied for their liquor license. So I got that application 2 weeks ago. That is all I have.
Great, thank you. Department head, town engineer, pavement management plan. Let me get over to the spreadsheet.
2 edits on this that I'm going to call out on the repair type, and that would be in lines 2 and lines 4. It says mill and fill for Willow Parkway South storm sewer slip lining. That's not correct. It is storm sewer maintenance. And Willow Parkway North catch basin and culvert replacement, and that is storm sewer repair. So big ticket items this year. We talked about the line number 1 during the work session. Looking to do drainage improvements and street reconstruction on Oswego Street from West Bridge Street to around the corner and through to First Street and First Street. Those improvements are going to include a under drain installation, replacement of the existing storm sewers that are there, sub-base replacement, and we'll bring those through binder this year. We will not top them. We'll let them sit for the winter and then top those streets next spring. Willow Parkway South Storm Sewer, that we're going to use the $378,000 of ARPA funds, and we've added $28,000 of the road maintenance fund. That'll just about complete Willow Parkway North. We may have 2 sections left next year, depending on if we find, if we find a section that isn't bad and we don't have to slip line it, we might be able to get through all of it. It's not likely. So we'll have a couple of pieces that we'll have to do next year. We'll go from there.
Not to interrupt, but that project's pretty big, but the age of it is
50 years plus.
50 years plus now.
Yep.
But just so people understand the dollar amount and the expense.
Yeah.
And what comes through there.
It's a lot.
It's considerable.
It's a lot of water. Mariner Trail drainage and street reconstruction. So Mariner Trail's got some long-standing drainage issues down there. I know John was just there yesterday on a section that had been replaced relatively recently. It's a long-standing issue. It's time to address it. We're going to completely redo the storm sewer there. We're going to put in pervious shoulders and under drain, and bring that street back up to binder as well. Those streets are not asphalt; they are just chip sealed roads. So we've got a pretty hefty contingency in that one because we don't know what we're going to find when we open it up, quite honestly. Willow Parkway North catch basin and culvert replacement. So we're going to replace all the catch basins on Willow Parkway on both sides of the road from West Entry Road all the way to Drake's Landing. We'll include new catch basins and the cross culverts that go to the mainline drainage system that's in the median. Sumac and Billieu are going to be milled and filled. Those projects are getting $50,000 of funding through our 2025 Community Development Block Grant. Drake's Landing and Willow Parkway pavement markings. The paint there needs to be refreshed in some areas. Farm Pond Road, Bellows Road, Dunham Road, Emmerich Road, County Line Road, Patchett Road, and Rabbit Lane are all due to, and Shortcut Road are all due to be chip sealed. We're also going to do a shim treatment on Rabbit Lane to try to take some of the ruts out of it. And that's a cold mix product that'll be chip sealed over. We have 3 culverts that have pretty significant settling on either side of them on Gates, Copper Knoll, and Wheaton. We're gonna fix those valleys in the road on either side of the culvert, so those roads ride a little smoother and a little better, a little easier on plow trucks. Sorry, Wheaton Road is there too. We're gonna do a lot of bar patching with chip seal on the country roads in areas where we've got alligator cracking and rutting, just to try to take some of the ruts out of the road so we can better shed water off the road. Farm Road, the culvert at the top, the first cross culvert, the bottom of it is rotted out. We're gonna look at slip lining that. All the other culverts on that road that are cross culverts have been replaced now. That one at the top is a little bit larger, and it's it's corrugated metal, and there isn't a bottom left of it, so slip lining is a more appropriate action on that one. West Entry, Frontage Road, and Loop Road, the shoulders need to be backed up with stone, and I show a $20,000 budget transfer for salt for the 2025 budget. And we've got a $30,000 budget for crack sealing various roads throughout the town. That pretty much covers it all. All of these estimates, other than the chip seal, have about a 15% contingency in it to cover the unknown, as we discussed in the work session. Not fluff, unknown.
That's what I word. Sorry, Al, for my words.
Plan for,
The unknown.
hope for the best, plan for the worst.
Yep. And hopefully it comes in lower.
Yep.
Now, just because it's part of the official record, I think you've got Rabbit Line instead of Rabbit Lane for a culvert repair.
Oh, was it?
Oh, yeah, yep. I got it.
yeah.
We'll make that change and post the formally adopted one with that correction. Thank you. Nice catch, Bob.
I'm good at that.
I know.
I know we caught Emmerich on the first pass with the 2 M's, so.
Which end of Patrick's getting done?
The lower.
What's the lower end? The dead
The
end?
diamond water's down, yes. That's
About time.
That was done.
It's ugly.
He just got here, really.
That was done.
we did. That was pipe replacement. And
6 years ago, we chip sealed
It
it.
was
6 years ago.
Things that were done, so we're trying.
Yeah, and that's, I know the rural roads are on here, and I know there's a lot of people who will call about what we do on the rural roads, but people have to remember, in some of those areas, we still have a farm community.
I know.
How would paving those roads work if we put blacktop on it? Number two, the bases are.
Every time that we've done that, they've come out of the field with discs down and
Right.
destroyed the shoulder of the road.
I mean,
so.
people don't understand the weight of the farm equipment and how many times.
I know.
In and out.
A lot of people don't realize how many times farmers are in and out of the fields throughout a season. So the rural roads are pretty much what we have on them is what we are going to replace when needed.
Right.
I mean, the biggest thing is most of them are literally dirt roads
Yeah, they weren't built.
that have
Right.
marginal, if any, actual stone sub-base material under them.
They have a hump.
They were old farm to market roads that were graded off and had multiple layers of stone and oil put on them, and that's what they are.
There's dump roads only 5/8 to 3/4 of an inch deep. So.
That's what most of those country roads are. They're about 3/4 of an inch of stone and oil
Kind of
total.
dump road, and that's
I just want people to see when we're doing work on the rural roads, it's like, oh, that's what you're putting down. There's a reason for it. And it's not,
And there's
it's not
no-
to save money, it's about
Trying to do a building.
how the road's built.
And there's, and this is this is a fact. About 21% of our highway funding comes from 70% of our length of road. The property that fronts 70% of the lengths of our road. That's just a fact. That's without density, it's buildings that drive assessed value. It's not open land.
Right, but if we're farming in those communities, we're not going to treat them like the inside of Radisson or a housing.
Yeah, like a
development.
chip seal's okay
That's all.
there.
Well, it's what you have.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't have a base, you don't
Right,
have a
right.
properly built road. You put something like that, it's not gonna last.
It's gonna fall apart.
Right.
That's how base is moving. Asphalt is not flexible like chip seal is.
Does any of the board have any questions for John or Al?
I made that correction and I'll email a new PDF to Dina to post.
Yeah, and I had requested, I sent you an email today, when we go to sign the 284, we'll have Al put the maintenance and repairs and the mileage in, and then we'll sign that and send it off to the county. We'll get the approval tonight, take care of that. John, you good with everything?
Oh, yeah.
I know you guys have worked on this.
We've been spending quite a few hours out there looking,
Yeah.
trying to get the most bang for our buck. So
Sure. That's great.
There's no other things really that you can do.
Yeah. No, that's fine. I appreciate the work both of you guys have done, and, I'm glad.
And it's not that there isn't other things to do. That's not the way to say it, John.
We're trying to.
No. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, there's a long list of things.
Well, here's-
Trying to get the whole out of the way, yeah.
So here's the other part. I know people are gonna look, and normally we come back with a PMP Part 2, which we'll see where the budget ends up. But the other thing we've done this year is we've thrown a lot of money at vehicles. And
I know that.
we're waiting for the state, who just finally maybe approved a budget or an agreement, whatever that means, a couple days ago. We need to see what our CHIPS money is to get reimbursed, to see what, because we have to account for, if you look at the top, that's our budget based on our expenses. We have income that's already in there of roughly $300,000. That is how we get to this value without taxes. The other part of this is when we actually see what our CHIPS money is, then we have a street sweeper we just got this week.
If anybody wants to see it, they're welcome to come over and see it, Brandon.
I'm sure they'll see it on the road.
It's
as soon as we get it
impressive.
registered up.
It's impressive. It's impressive.
That we're doing a lot of things with the funding that we did differently, whereas normally we did different work with the roads. So hopefully if everything works out right in the state, we'll be able to come back and maybe knock some other things out. So thank you both for the work on this. Appreciate it. That's it, Al, on your end?
That's all I got.
Okay, thank you. Now we're off to agenda items. Agenda item 8. I'd like to get a motion to adopt the following resolution calling for a special town election to be held on June 9th, 2025 as follows. Now, everybody can read it. I am not going to sit here and roll through it. The 2 pages worth of explanation. But I'll read the section 3 to just give the gist of where we're at. Actually, Tom Turner, you can explain the resolution, then I'll read that part.
This resolution establishes the fact that the town is going to be conducting a special election on Monday, June 9th, between the hours of 12 p.m. and 9 p.m. to determine whether or not the electors of the town of Lysander shall approve a local law entitled a local law changing the office of the town superintendent of highways from elective to appointed in the town of Lysander, adopted by the Lysander Town Board on April 3rd, 2025, which changes the manner of selection of the office of town superintendent of highways from elected to appointed by abolishing the elective office of town superintendent of highways and creating the appointed office of town superintendent of highways in the town of Lysander. Polling places have been designated as Lysander Town Hall, 8220 Loop Road, Baldwinsville, New York, 13027, and Beaver Lake Nature Center, 8477 East Mud Lake Road, Baldwinsville, New York, 13027. The purpose of adopting this resolution is to allow for the notification of the information that I just read into the record to be provided to the public pursuant to law. And that will be accomplished, the minimal legal notification required will be accomplished through publication in the legal notices section of the official newspaper of the town of Lysander, at least 10 days before the date of the special election.
Okay, and I will read the resolution just so people can understand it. The following proposition is to be voted upon. Shall the electors of the town of Lysander approve a local law entitled, a local law changing the office of the town superintendent of highways from elected to appointed in the town of Lysander, adopted by the town of Lysander Town Board on April 3rd, 2025. This changes the manner of selection of the office of town superintendent of highways from elected to appointed by abolishing the elected office of town superintendent of highways and creating the appointed office of town superintendent of highways in the town of Lysander. Question mark. That is what will be on the ballot. Can I get a motion?
I'll second it.
Discussion. Is it, as we're sitting on this resolution tonight, is everybody good with the dates, the times, everything that is sitting?
The only question is grammatical, right? It says abolishing the elective office, or should it be elected office? Elected.
Okay. Any other questions or edits or anything like that?
I guess the only other thing I'd point out, just so the public's aware, nothing about this resolution changes anything that's in the local laws that were adopted by the board before. So this is just notifying you of
The date, time.
Date, time, and location of the election.
That's it. Okay. And we've got 2 board meetings between now and then, so I'm sure we'll have a lot more questions and statements on the topic. All in favor? Aye. Aye. All yes. Motion carried. Motion B. We get a motion to appoint Christopher Green as summary in the Parks and Recreation Department at a rate of $15.50 per hour with a starting date of May 2nd, 2025.
I'll move that.
I'll second.
Discussion. These next, I should have said it before. These next 1, 2, 3, 4 motions are for park aides, attendants, people that do programming at the parks for us over the summer.
Actually, C, D, and E are GEMS
The
instructors.
GEMS program, I'm sorry, so 5. The next 5 are
Next 3 for their gem, yeah.
right. Yes, they're all people that help at the park throughout the summer.
Yeah.
All. Any other discussion?
The GEMS program is a week long, and they're teachers.
Right.
So-
Right, that's why they're
Yeah,
different.
that's why they're different. Maybe we should put for GEMS program on the motion.
Yeah, Kevin Merrill, he put the motions on there. We could probably put in parentheses for
GEMS.
GEMS, yeah, to know the difference. And I know the other one, Kelly Natali does programming that's different than just normal park attendant. So I
And
don't,
it's also important to point out that the GEMS program pays for itself. This is not coming out of tax dollars. These rates that we're paying the teachers, 47 to 35, the GEMS program pays for that.
right, yes. Anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All yes, motion carried. Motion C, I'd like to get a motion to appoint Leslie Cartier as summary in the Parks and Recreation Department at a rate of $47 per hour with a starting date of June 1st, 2025. And this is one of our GEMS instructors.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Motion D, I'd like to get a motion to appoint Kyle Tufel Sullivan as summary in the Parks and Recreation Department at a rate of $47 per hour with a starting date of June 1st, 2025.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. And sorry if I did not get your name correct. Motion E, I'd like to get a motion to appoint Colleen Natali as summer aide in the Parks and Recreation Department at a rate of $35 per hour with a starting date of May 2nd, 2025.
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye. Aye. I guess motion carried. Motion F, I'd like to get a motion to authorize the town supervisor to sign the revised sanitary sewer easement revision paperwork related to River Grove Lot 21A.
I'll second it.
Okay, discussion. Mr. Yeager, it was brought to our attention that the easement is not in the correct place, given the lot alignments, I believe, so.
Well,
Sort of.
the easement's in the correct, was placed correctly at the time it was granted, which was several
Decades ago.
decades ago.
Multiple developers? I'm gonna guess.
I guess the way to say it is, we issued a building permit on a map that did not show the easement. The house is about 14 inches over the easement line. There's plenty of space on the lot to move the easement over. There'll still be a 20-foot easement. What's that? But yes, it's not used. There is no pipe in the easement. It just allows for future connection for a property on River Road if they ever decide to petition into the sewer district, and it was part of the original development agreement for the overall project. There is no cost to the town on this. All costs will be borne by the developer. I don't know if we have to do two actual actions, one being a quick claim deed on the existing easement, and then a new easement filing. I don't know what Dave will work through the paperwork and give it to you to sign, Kevin.
Great legal stuff.
There you go.
That's what you get paid for.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think another thing just to point out to the board, the developers indicating that they're imminently closing on the property, so there will be a new house that's either built or...
The house is built and ready to be, have a CO inspection in the next week, and they're looking to close, I think he said on the 15th or the 19th or something.
And just so the board's aware, there is, I think, a very valid argument that this easement, in fact, was extinguished when the site plan was amended, again, years ago.
Yes.
One man
And
can
it
carry
just,
over to the next
an
man.
extinguishment was never filed in the clerk's office. The reason we're doing the amendment is because the house is literally ready to close. Welcome a new resident, literally new. From what I understand, they don't live here. They're not just moving within Lysander. And the developer talked to the bank and the buyer's attorney, and they said, if you can, we would prefer this method. It's the simplest, easiest way, and we won't have an issue when you can close.
And it still allows the access.
And there's still
It's just
room
not
for
through their
pipe.
house anymore.
If after decades of non-use, somebody puts a pipe in there, then there's plenty of room still.
Okay.
And it's in a Greens Ward area that can never, so they wouldn't be able to ever build into it anyway. So it's not any detriment to the family that's buying the property.
Or the town. Okay. Anybody else? No? Great. All in favor? Aye. Aye. All yes, motion carried. Motion G, I'd like to get a motion to authorize town supervisor to sign the intermunicipal agreement between the town of Lysander and the village of Phoenix for shared building inspector services for certain specific projects.
I will move that.
I'll second it.
Discussion. As I said at the work session, this was something we did for a very specific project last year. There are a couple projects that need to be, that could have a perceived, lost the conflict of interest. Thank you. So we are offering our code services. We are being paid for it. So we will be reimbursed for our time that we put into this to help the village of Phoenix out. Anybody else have any other questions? All in favor? Aye. Motion approved. Oh, yes. Motion H, I'd like to get a motion to approve the pavement management plan and authorize the town supervisor to sign the 284 agreement with the highway superintendent.
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
Discussion. We just had the PMP presentation. As I said, the town engineer will finish up the 284 agreement with us, and we'll get that signed by both of us, and we can carry on to getting our bids. And I do know we're using last year's bid, right, for the prices. Everything was held. Okay, excellent. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. All yes. Motion I. I'd like to get a motion to refer the proposed Lysander, oh, that's tabled. Sorry. We were going to table that to the next meeting. Motion J. I'd like to get a motion to reopen the Melvin Farms incentive zoning public hearing on May 15th at 6:30 p.m.
I'll second it.
Discussion. We have more information. We've sent it back to our town planning and zoning boards, county planning and zoning. The town engineer and myself met with WEP last week regarding this project and sewer needs on the peninsula. So we're taking a crack back at this with the developer and the public hearing to see this current iteration and where we end up as a town. So I expect good times. This public hearing was adjourned for 2 years, so we're finally reopening it. All in favor? Aye. All yes, motion carried. Motion K, I'd like to get a motion to authorize the town supervisor to advertise via mailer flyer to registered voter residences for the special election to abolish the elected position of highway superintendent with an amount not to exceed $15,000. Town clerk is to advertise in the local newspaper, public and legal notices.
I'll move it. I'll second it.
Discussion. As we had discussed at the work session, we talked over rates between sending, putting ads in the paper to just name what the referendum's on, what it's about, nothing pointed, just letting people know, informing people their opportunity to vote on Monday, June 9th. We've decided that a flyer, mailer to each registered voter in the town of Lysander would better suffice that than pulling out ads in the paper that may not be seen. That is what the cost is. That's a not to exceed. We're hoping to come in on the low end, but those were the initial quotes that we received. So I should have more information on that at the next meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Motion L. I'd like to get a motion to, how do I say, refer for the speed study?
Conduct an area speed study.
Motion to request an area speed study in the West Phoenix neighborhood.
Yep.
You got that, Dina?
Yeah, well, I'm gonna list the streets in that as well.
Yeah,
So,
and
an area
streets will be
speed study in West Phoenix, at Westbridge, including Westbridge Street, Oswego Street, and Pendergast Road between Westbridge Street and Lambton?
Yes. And then First and Second Street.
And First and Second Street? Okay.
I'll move it.
Okay.
We're done writing.
Yeah.
I'll second it.
Okay. Discussion, this was requested at the neighbors in the West Phoenix neighborhood. They got about 20 to 25 signatures, which I have, which we will send as supporting documentation with the speed study request. And we will also, look into prices on a speed camera for, to be able to move around the town, as this is a issue with not having a traffic enforcement in the town. Other than the troopers and the sheriff's department when they have time and opportunity. Anything else?
Anything else?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All yes, motion carried. We do need to have a brief executive session regarding the contract negotiations for the collective bargaining agreements. So could I get a motion to go into executive session at 7:25 p.m.?
I'll second it.
I do not expect any kind of resolutions or actions after. So for all of those attending that will end the meeting, if you want to stay, you're more than welcome to. We'll come out of executive session. Thank you, everybody, and have a good evening.